Maybe first to tell you something about ArtLeaks. ArtLeaks is a platform which was an international platform which was founded in 2010. Basically now it exists almost 7 years. 2011 it started, but in 2010 was basically the first case that ArtLeaks covered, and around this case people gathered. And the idea of the ArtLeaks was to, so to say, to organize international artists, basically artists that are working internationally and also with the local organizations of artists, in order to break the silence and to face with the problems of the situation which artists and cultural workers are facing today, which is marginalization, flexibilization of labor, unpaid work, and other problems which are related to the condition of material condition of artists, and especially also issues around censorship, because censorship is basically present in all kinds of forms, reshaping and installing the ideas which are related to the institutional power or state power. So we have dear guests today, people who are in their practice dealing with some topics which are covered in the ArtLeaks Gazette. And we invited them. They are also based in Belgrade, Serbia, and I think this is very nice to have also people from here who are dealing with similar issue also on international and local level, and to ask them to tell us about something about from their experience. We have first to introduce Maja Ćirić, curator, freelance curator from Belgrade, and Saša Perić, professor and writer and activist from Serbia, and register, film director. And I will give a microphone to my partner Rena Raedle. She is one of the editor of this magazine, and she will tell you a bit more about a magazine first, about this issue, what is inside. And I will maybe give this to people to maybe later on. Maybe this one first. This is the third one.
Okay, thank you, Vladan, for this nice introduction. I'm happy to see you here, to welcome you here. Please take some of the fruits we brought. I will say first a few words about the Gazette. The ArtLeaks Gazette is actually kind of an periodical magazine of the ArtLeaks platform. So the ArtLeaks platform is basically publishing cases of infraction of artists' labor rights and cases of censorship. But the ArtLeaks Gazette, which is coming out, it depends, every year or every second year, it depends because it's all voluntary work, to reflect also on a more theoretical level about what is happening in the art world. So until now we had 3 issues, always covering a special field, special questions. And the 4th ArtLeaks Gazette that was published 2 weeks ago is actually posing the question of social rights, social justice in the art world. What do we mean by that? If we look at the production conditions of art in the art world, we can see that there is actually happening the same as in the whole society. We can observe stratification within the art world between artists that produce as kind of corporations within the arts, art on very high level that are connected with galleries and museums that are working on making these artworks into a very valuable, very high-priced asset, actually, that is becoming kako se kaže, roba? Commodity that is actually becoming a commodity within the financial system. So a lot of people with a lot of money, or corporations with a lot of money, they invest into art pieces, into whole exhibitions, to first save their money there, but also to speculate with these artworks. This financialization of the art world has been happening parallelly to the financialization of the economy in general. I mean, we have been witnesses of kind of a crisis of this system in 2008, but actually this process is going on, and art plays a big role in that, together with speculation with immobilien, with real estate. So you can actually compare that. But how is this working? We have one article written by Gregory Cholet, actually within an interview, about how this value is generated. Because one artist star, let's say Damien Hirst, he cannot exist. He cannot produce this value alone, this absurd value of his artworks. He needs a lot of people who are actually generating the whole field of art in which he can place his commodity. So Gregory Cholet explains this with a term dark matter. And he describes the mass of art workers, of art producers that are doing art maybe even as a hobby. Maybe they are working in a gallery voluntarily because they think they think they can collect some kind of capital cultural, working in the art business, and they hope that one day they will maybe also become famous as, for example, Damien Hirst. So Gregor Cholet explains this system of value generation. For example, in one of these interviews here in the Gazette, number 4. I want to shed light on one other contribution in the ArtLeaks Gazette. It is actually the outcome of a seminar that was held in Trondheim 2 years ago, where a lot of art producers were meeting, and especially representatives of art organizations. And it could be very interesting for you to see what are the recommendations of this gathering. The question is how to find other relations of productions that would create a value in culture that is not pure commercialization of culture. And one of the recommendations is also that artists, as cultural producers, have to see their own position in relation to the position of other precarious workers. A lot of us do not have a job, a safe job. A lot of us are working project-oriented, like on projects, working from project to project, and actually exploiting themselves to survive. So in this meeting there was made the point that artists should see themselves in the same condition as a lot of other precarious workers, as for example people who are working through work agencies, short-time contracted. It's very similar to the working conditions in the art. And this is why one of the recommendations is to make alliances between the art world and between the other world, to struggle together to change this way of production, which is actually producing stratification in the whole society, not only in the art world, of course. So just two examples from what is the Gazette for about. You can download the Gazette from the internet. As I said, it's actually all the texts were contributed to our open call, and there is no money in this. All the people think it's important to discuss all this issue on an international level. So we don't have money to print it, but you can download it and print it yourself, or read it as PDF from the website. The website is artleaks.org. You will find it on Google, no problem. Yes. Does it make sense to go to tell a bit about the authors of the
to give to people the magazine? And
I will hand out the magazine. We have one contribution by Mike Watson. He is a theorist from Goldsmith University from London. He talks about his class position because he's coming from a working class, and he's talking about the discrimination against people who don't have the financial background to work in the arts. He's actually more targeting at the academic world. There is also a kind of documentations about or from artists' organizations or related professional organizations, like from the Art Handlers Alliance in London, in New York. Art handlers are people who are putting up exhibitions. So they made a Bill of Rights of the art handlers in London, and are campaigning to get better working conditions, better contracts, and so on. I mentioned the Trondheim seminar and the recommendations by the Trondheim seminar about the contradictions and the transformative trajectory between art and labor. There is one contribution by Tihomir Topuzovsky from Macedonia about the role of art or artistic forms of protest in the social struggle and in the political struggle in Macedonia this year. There is a documentation of J20 art strike. It was organized in New York when President Trump became elected, and at the inauguration of his presidency. And Art Strike J20 was calling all the cultural producers to shut down their activities on that day. So they were addressing also every kind of art institutions, galleries, but also artists to make a strike that day. There is an overview of the history of artists' organizations in the 20th century until now by Corina Apostol. She's also one of the members of ArtLeaks and one of the editors of this gazette this year. And there is a lot of more contributions. I hope you will find time to read through.